Legacy Love, a Supernal Rootz Signature Series Special. This is episode 3 of 4. Greetings, spiritual kinfolk, and what's up, my fellow extraordinary evolutionary revolutionaries? How have you been? What's good? How are you? I'm ready to get this going and continue on. So, this episode is for the person who keeps hearing, love yourself. But nobody ever actually taught you what that looks like. Not the social media version, not the treat yourself version, not the version where you buy something nice and call it healing. I'm talking about real, lived, in the trenches self-love. The kind that shows up on a Tuesday afternoon when somebody crosses a boundary and you have to decide in real time, with your chest tight and your old programming screaming, what you're gonna do about it. Because real talk, self-love is not bubble baths and affirmations. I'm not knocking those things, y'all. No, you can take the bath. Say the words, light the candle, put on the playlist. But if that's where your self-love practice stops, we need to have a conversation. Self-love is how you treat yourself when you're triggered. Self-love is the standard you keep when you're lonely. Self-love is how quickly you come back to yourself after somebody disappoints you. Self-love is not abandoning yourself to keep a connection. Self-love is not shrinking so somebody else can feel comfortable. Self-love is not swallowing your truth because the room can't handle it. And that last batch right there, I know y'all, it's that real shite, right? That's the stuff that gets most of us, because we're taught that love means making yourself smaller so other people don't have to grow. So here's what you're getting today. We're turning self-love into a legacy practice: safety, standards, and rest. I'm going to show you why self-love feels hard when your body was trained to survive instead of receive. I'm going to give you something I call the calm check, a body-based way to measure love that's more honest than anything somebody says to you. I'm going to break down reparenting in plain language. No therapy speak, just straight up plain truth. I'm going to give you 3 self-love standards so simple you could teach them to a teenager. And I'm going to walk you through a guided reset right here, right now. So take a breath with me, y'all. Inhale. Exhale. All right, let's get into it. Part 1, why self-love feels hard. For a lot of us, self-love feels hard because your subconscious and your nervous system learned love through effort, not through rest, not through receiving, not through being, through doing. You learned love equals overgiving. Love equals fixing. Love equals sacrificing. Love equals staying quiet. Love equals reading moods. Love equals bracing for impact. Love equals I'll be okay as long as nobody is mad. So, when you try to practice real love, the kind that says no, the kind that rests, the kind that chooses you first without apologizing for it. Your body doesn't trust it. Instead, your body says, if I relax, something bad will happen. If I choose me, I'll be punished. If I set a boundary, I'll be abandoned. If I rest, I'm lazy. If I stop being useful, nobody will want me around. Fam, that's not your intuition talking. That's not your spirit. That's not the Most High telling you to keep grinding. That's conditioning. That's the old loop from the earlier episode, trying to keep running. And here's why this matters so much. Your mind can say, I deserve love, all day long. You can write it in your journal. You can say it in the mirror. You can post it on your story. But if your subconscious and your nervous system is still bracing for the next blow, still scanning for danger, still performing for approval, you'll keep choosing what's familiar over what's healthy. Because the body runs the show. The subconscious is creating your paradigm. Not the affirmation, not the intention. The subconscious merged with the body. That's why self-love has to become a body practice. We're going deeper than words today. We're going into the nervous system, into the body, into the place where the pattern actually lives. Because the body is where the wound got stored. And the body is where the healing has to happen. Part 2, the calm check. Here's a simple way to measure love. Not by words, not by promises, not by grand gestures, not by how much somebody posts about you, not by how many times they say, I love you. No, instead, by how your body feels. I call it the calm check. Ask yourself one question. Does my body feel safe here? Safe feels like relaxed shoulders. Open breath, not shallow, not held, just easy. Steady digestion, no constant knots, no stress eating, no loss of appetite. Clear thinking, not obsessive replaying, not constant analyzing. Calm sleep, not lying awake at 2 a.m. wondering what they meant by okay. Emotional headlines, not riding somebody else's mood like a roller coaster. Permission to be yourself without editing, without filtering, without shrinking. Now, on the opposite end of the token, unsafe feels like tight chest, clenched jaw, and half the time you don't even notice it's clenched until somebody tells you to relax. Anxious scrolling, checking their page, checking who liked what, reading into everything. Obsessive thinking, replaying conversations, rehearsing arguments, scripting what you'll say next. Walking on eggshells, monitoring your tone, measuring your words, somebody else's emotions, so they don't explode. Needing to perform to be loved. Needing to prove you're enough. Needing to hide parts of yourself, your opinions, your needs, your truth, because the full version of you isn't welcome. And here's where it gets tricky, y'all. Sometimes we call it chemistry, but it's really anxiety. Sometimes we call it passion, but it's really instability. Sometimes we call it a deep connection, but it's really a trauma bond. Sometimes we call it riding for somebody, but it's really self-abandonment disguised as loyalty. The body tells the truth, always has, always will. Your body is the witness, and it's been trying to tell you the truth for years. You just kept overriding it because the story in your head was louder. So, the calm check is simple. Before you say yes to something, a relationship, a request, a commitment, a favor, a second chance, a one more try, check your body first. If your chest tightens, that's data. If your stomach drops, that's data. If you feel the urge to perform or prove yourself, that's data. Self-love starts with listening to that data instead of overriding it. Instead of saying, "Oh, it's fine, I'm just overthinking." Because 9 times out of 10, you're not overthinking. You're under listening. Part 3, a real life example. Let me tell you about somebody who learned the calm check the hard way. She was a woman in her early 40s, smart, successful, spiritual, had a whole altar, y'all. Had the crystals, had the sage, had the journals, had the affirmation app on her phone. And she kept ending up in relationships where she gave everything and got just enough to keep her hoping. When she came to me, she said, "IAYAALIS, I've done the work. I've read the books. I know my attachment style. I know my love language. I know my Enneagram. I know my human design. I know my love path number. I've done the therapy. Why am I still attracting the same situation?" And I said, "Sister, because you've been doing the work in your head, but your body hasn't gotten the memo." She looked confused, so I asked her, "When you're with somebody who's been inconsistent, texting one day, disappearing the next, hot and cold, giving you just enough attention to keep you hooked, what does your body do?" She thought about it and said, "My chest gets tight, my stomach drops, I can't eat, I can't sleep. I check my phone every 5 minutes. I feel electric, on edge, like everything is heightened." And I said, "Now, when you're with somebody who's calm, consistent, clear, shows up the same way every day, what does your body do?" She paused and she said, "Honestly, I get bored. It feels flat, like something's missing." And there it was. I told her, "That electric feeling you described, that's not love. That's anxiety. Your nervous system is on high alert because it recognizes the pattern. And that bored feeling with the consistent person, that's not boredom, that's safety. And your body doesn't recognize safety because safety was never modeled for you." She got real quiet. And then she said something that almost made me cry. "So I've been choosing anxiety and calling it love my entire adult life? Yeah, that's the calm check, revealing the truth your mind didn't want to see. And here's what changed for her, y'all. She didn't just start choosing better. She started checking her body before she chose. She started asking, is this excitement? Or is this my wound? She started noticing when her chest tightened, and instead of chasing harder, she paused. She started practicing the interruption from the earlier episode. Name it, slow it, choose the new response. And slowly, her definition of love started changing. Not in her head, in her body. That's self-love as a body practice. And that's the real work. Part 4. Reparenting in plain language. Now, I know reparenting sounds like some therapy textbook situation stuff. I get it, yeah. It sounds clinical. It sounds heavy. Sounds like something you need a degree and a copay for. But fam, it's actually the simplest thing in the world. Reparenting is becoming the adult, the safe adult your younger self needed. And that's it. When you were little and you were scared, maybe nobody said, I'm here. When you were hurting, maybe nobody said, I believe you. When you needed comfort, maybe you got, stop crying, or you're fine, or silence, or a look that said, don't start. When you needed somebody to fight for you, maybe everybody was too busy fighting each other. Reparenting is giving yourself what you didn't get. In real time, in real situations, with real stakes. It looks like telling yourself, I believe you. I'm not ignoring your feelings. I'm not rushing you. I'm not forcing you to accept crumbs. I'm not volunteering you for pain. I'm not shaming you for needing love. I am not making you earn what you deserve. And real talk, reparenting also means changing your behavior, not just your self-talk. It means you stop negotiating with disrespect. You stop calling inconsistency potential. You stop over-explaining your boundaries to people who understood them the first time and chose not to care. You stop letting guilt make your decisions. You stop saying yes when your body is screaming no. You stop swallowing your needs and calling it maturity. You stop performing wholeness while you're breaking inside. Because in a healthy inner home, your needs are not an inconvenience. Your needs are not too much. Your needs are not a burden. Your needs are information, and they deserve to be honored. You know who taught me that? That sister from the earlier episode in the very beginning. The one who said, I had to be useful to be lovable. When she started reparenting herself, the first thing she did was stop volunteering for emotional labor she didn't sign up for. She stopped being the first one to text, the first one to apologize, the first one to smooth things over. And she said, "IAYAALIS, the silence was terrifying. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't exhausted." That's reparenting. Not a technique, a lifestyle shift. Part 5, 3 self-love standards. I'm going to give you 3 standards you can live by. Not 10, not a whole workbook, y'all. Just 3. Keep them simple, keep them close, put them on your mirror, your lock screen, your journal cover. I don't care, it's just 3. Standard 1, clarity. If something is unclear, you ask. Yeah, that's it. If something is unclear, you ask. If someone avoids clarity, you notice. If you are constantly confused in a relationship, that is a sign, not a season. Confusion is not complexity. Confusion is often control. When somebody keeps you guessing, they keep you chasing. When somebody says one thing and does another, they're not being complicated. They're being unclear on purpose. Because confusion keeps you available while they decide what they want. Clarity is a love language. Demand it. If somebody can't tell you where you stand, they just told you where you stand. Standard 2, consistency. Love cannot be a sometimes thing. Care cannot be seasonal. Respect cannot be when they're in a good mood. If somebody is only kind to you when they want something, that's not love. That's transaction. If somebody only shows up after you threaten to leave, that's not commitment. That's fear of losing what you provide. If somebody only communicates when it's convenient, that's not being busy. That's telling you where you fall on their priority list. Consistency is a love language. Period. Not perfection, not 24/7 availability. Consistency. Showing up the same way on good days and hard days, in public and in private, when it's easy and when it costs something. Standard 3, reciprocity. If you pour and pour and pour and you're always empty, that is not love. That is extraction. Reciprocity is not keeping score. It's not, I did 3 things, so you owe me 3 things. It's knowing you're not the only one building the bridge. It's knowing that when you need to lean, somebody leans in for you. It's knowing that the giving goes both ways. Not perfectly, not equally every single day, but overall, the investment is mutual. And listen, if you're always the one investing, if you're always the one initiating, if you're always the one making the effort, love, that's not a relationship. That's a donation. And you didn't come here to be a charity. And here's the self-love question that ties all 3 standards together. What are you willing to commit to for yourself, no matter who's watching? What are you willing to release, even if it's comfortable, even if it's familiar, even if letting it go means being alone for a season? And what standard are you finally ready to stop negotiating on, no matter what the old programming says? Those 3 questions, that's the foundation of every healthy love decision you'll ever make, for yourself and for everybody else. And if they sound familiar, good. We're building something here. It'll all connect. Trust the process. Part 6, Guided Reset, 2 to 3 minutes. All right, let's do this together right now. This is a short guided reset you can come back to anytime you need it. Sit back if you can, unclench your jaw. Yeah, I know it might have been tight. Let it go. Drop your shoulders. They were up by your ears, weren't they? Let them fall. Let your hands rest wherever they are. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. One more time. Inhale, fill your whole chest, and exhale. Let everything soften. Now, repeat after me, out loud if possible. Let these words land in your body, not just your brain. My body deserves safety. My heart deserves honesty. My spirit deserves respect. Again, my body deserves safety. My heart deserves honesty. My spirit deserves respect. Now, say, I do not have to earn love. I do not have to bleed to belong. I do not have to abandon myself to be chosen. One more time, slower, let your body absorb it. I do not have to earn love. I do not have to bleed to belong. I do not have to abandon myself to be chosen. Take one slow breath. Let your body feel what it feels like to be on your own side, to not be fighting for somebody else's approval, to not be managing somebody else's mood, to just be here with yourself, choosing yourself. Yes, that's self-love. Not a quote, not a post, not a vibe. A choice, a practice, a standard. And the more you practice it, the more your body trusts it. And the more your body trusts it, the less the old pattern can run you. Now let's get into some journal prompts. Grab your journal later and answer these honestly, okay? Don't edit yourself. Just write what's true. Number 1, where do I abandon myself the fastest? Is it in romance? Family? Money? Rest? Boundaries? Work? Friendships? Where am I most likely to override my body's no? Number 2, what does safety actually feel like in my body? Can you describe it? Have you felt it recently? If not, when was the last time you felt truly safe? Not just not in danger, but genuinely safe and held. Number 3, which standard am I ready to hold, even if it costs me access to somebody I've been holding onto? Clarity, consistency, or reciprocity? Pick one, just one for right now, and commit to it. No judgment. It's not about that. Just truth. Because every standard you set becomes a boundary somebody else has to respect. And every boundary you hold becomes a template for the people who come after you. Your children, your nieces, your nephews, your friends, your community. And that is self-love as legacy. Not just for you, for everybody watching you heal. CTA! Okay, y'all. Call to action. So, if you want a guided audio practice you can replay daily, especially when you need your body to remember safety, when the old loop starts pulling, when you need to come back to yourself, grab Legacy Love, The Reset. It's a short guided experience, breathwork, ancestral release, and a love-forward vow built to reset your love frequency from survival to freedom. All you gotta do is go to IAYAALIS.com and on the first page, look to find Legacy Love, The Reset. One link, one practice, one shift. All right, y'all. So, in this final episode, we're closing this entire series with Choose Love Forward. And love, this isn't just a summary episode. This is a coronation. This is where we stop talking about what happened to us and start declaring what happens next. The love you're known for, the standard you live by, the pattern that ends with you, the vow you seal it with. You're not selfish for choosing you. You're not too much for having standards. You're not a scared or avoidant or picky for knowing what you won't tolerate anymore. You're healing. And that becomes legacy. In this next final episode, we come to a point of completion, and that will be the seal. Don't miss it. Y'all, this is IAYAALIS Kalimayat Elawai, repping as the MDMO, the multi-dimensional mouth, right here in your ear, once again, in full support of you in all your positive manifestation endeavors. May we all continue to metaphysically and magically level up always, in all ways, to miraculously manifest forever ever. I would just love for y'all to go on and go and make it so. Ashe, Asheo. And just like that, y'all, I'm out. Until next time, catch you in the next dimension. Eternal Supernal, in love we thrive. Live love, love life. Your higher love doctor, IAYAALIS. You are supernal, heavenly, celestial, divine.